All right, so this is a day in the life. We're interviewing Keith Lowry. He's been in the United States Navy. All right, Keith, so how would you describe your job? Many times people outside the field have misconceptions, so if you can try and explain also kind of what you do and your schedule, days off, etc.
So are you asking about what I did? I've had many jobs. Which job are you most interested in doing?
Well, anything closely related to like your time with pilots, being around aircraft.
My time on an aircraft carrier. Actually, it isn't your time. You work 18-hour days. You don't have a regular schedule because I was a what's called a conning officer. At the same time, I also was an intelligence officer. So not only did I have to stand and watch for a 4-hour period of time, but then I had to go back and do my regular duties, which was to prepare the squadrons for their flights by briefing about what the threats they were going to encounter for that day were going to be. So I'd have to spend 6 to 8 hours doing that, plus 4 hours of watch time, plus I would have other extra duties in the squadron, and having to teach other people what their jobs were and managing the people that work for me.
So did you ever get any days off, or how'd you go about like requesting time off?
When you're on board a ship, there is no such thing as
Yes.
time off. You are there 24/7. You work 7 days a week, and that's about it.
Okay. So what was your favorite part about your job?
At midnight or 2 in the morning, standing on the bridge of the aircraft carrier and being in charge of its direction, and it's so peaceful and quiet unless they're flight hours.
Yeah. And what about your least favorite part?
My rack, or that's the Navy term for you to sleep. When I was on the USS Enterprise, my rack was on the OO deck, which was the deck immediately below the flight deck.
Pretty noisy.
And I was underneath the number 3 cable.
Oh.
So that means everybody that touched down, the planes would whack and then catch the cable, and then it would, after the plane was released, then the cable would go grrr and straight back and forth on the deck until it was centered again. So I learned how to go to sleep with country western music.
Oh,
wow.
Because that's all they had in the ship store.
Oh, man.
You have really done a lot in the name of your country.
I know.
all right. Is there
Overage boys.
is there anything that you didn't expect, something you hadn't thought about before choosing your career?
The commitment, the time, I didn't think about, didn't understand it until you've been at sea and until you really understand what being in the Navy or in the military services means. It means that you dedicate your life to serving somebody else.
All right. Next question. How important is professionalism in your chosen career field? And explain what professionalism means to you in your job.
Well, the term profession means that there is a code, there's formal training, there are minimal standards. And so professionalism is quite important. You have to go through training, you have to go continual education training. You have to be good at what you do, because if you're not good and you make mistakes, to put it bluntly, people die.
Yeah.
And so it puts a whole different meaning to professionalism. If you're not professional and you don't do your job well, your flight crew may not come back from the mission.
All right. How does your career field interact with other members of the aviation industry, and what other members do you interact with the closest?
Because I wasn't an aviator, I really didn't interact with the aviation.
Okay. What do you interact with any other members?
Members of what?
The Navy, I guess.
Oh, constantly.
Yes.
You're interacting with the chain of command. You brief flight crews, pilots, navigators. You brief the commanding officer, the admiral in charge. You brief everybody. So you interact with everybody on the ship.
Yeah. All right. How do you stay up to to date with changes in the industry, and how important are like attending seminars and continuing education opportunities to you?
Extremely important because the threats change daily, if not, or weekly, if not daily and monthly. It's always got to be on top. You always have to know what is the new thing the enemy has out there so you can prepare your flight so they know how to avoid it. Or how to defeat it.
Does the Navy, do they provide safety seminars and those sorts of things for everyone?
When you're aboard ship, at least once a week, you have a complete safety drill. They drill on, drills all the time about man overboard, fire drills, constant drilling. It's part of the life.
Yeah.
So you might have a drill 2 or 3 times a week that takes 4 hours apiece.
Oh man.
And they happen at all times. They can happen at 1 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon. They can happen at 2 in the morning or 10 o'clock at night. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. All right. Where does safety fall in priority in your chosen career field, and how does your department continue to improve safety?
Safety is the most important part because you always want to make sure your team goes home. And what was the second half?
How does your department continue to improve safety?
Well, you always measure, you always decide if somebody gets hurt, how they get hurt. You do after action reports. And then if you find something that could have been done better, then you go back and you alter your training so that it reflects what you need to do to stay safe.
Cool. All right, and then would you recommend your career to others just completing their degree?
Yes.
What about it would you recommend? Why would you say, okay, this is the career you should choose?
Well, I would never tell somebody this is the career you should choose. But what I would say is if this is the career that you choose, it is a fun thing to do.
Yeah. Then do you have any recommendations about how someone new to the industry can get experience needed to get a job in your field?
Get a college education first. Live your life so that you are capable and able to take any job that comes along. And by that I mean, if you've made mistakes, go back and fix them. If you are contemplating making a mistake, don't do it. So that when it comes time and you're able to answer and go through the process without having to make any problems for yourself.
Is there any way that they could possibly get experience that would help them in this industry?
Just get a degree in something you enjoy and then go off and you'll get all the experience you need.
Yeah.
It'll be given to you.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's all the questions I have. I thank you very much.
That had to do with aviation.
Yeah.